We all know about video game crunch. This is something that's popped up recently with some rather, shall we say, ignorant comments from that guy a few months back. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. And of course it's raised its head a few times because there are definitely some really valid concerns about the level of crunch and the hours that people are working in general in the AAA gaming industry. You know, some people not even seeing their families and just working crazy shifts, and the amount of pressure put on people is kind of mad. And then we have some comments from Amy Hennig, who of course is a veteran game director and writer who is responsible for numerous great games, and she was in an interview recently with the Idle Thumbs Designer Notes podcast, and she denounced the unacceptable work conditions of the AAA gaming industry. When the host Soren Johnson, who is also a developer he recently made Off-World Trading Company, asked how that affected her personally, she had some interesting comments what I want to focus on today. And she said, quote, "The whole time I was at Naughty Dog, 10.5 years, I probably on average, I don't know if I ever worked less than 80 hours a week. There are exceptions where I was like, okay, let's take a couple of days off, but I pretty much worked 7 days a week, at least 12 hours a day. A lot of my team was there. I mean, Naughty Dog is pretty notorious for the amount of crunch, but obviously in a leadership role you try and do even more. You may not be hands-on with the game as much, but you're writing, you're reviewing stuff, maybe you're working with the composer, reviewing the music, giving them notes. It's like being a film director." Now, naturally, the topic turned to whether or not this lifestyle was actually quote-unquote worth it. You know, if AAA games are worth this lifestyle of, you know, working 7 days a week, 12-hour shifts, barely even, you know, seeing your family or friends or having any sort of life outside of work. That does not sound like a fun time to me, I don't know about you. And she said, quote, "I don't think so. There's people who never go home and see their families. They have children who are growing up without seeing them. I didn't have my own kids. I sort of chose my career in lots of ways, and I could be single-minded like that. When I was making sacrifices, did it affect my family? Yes. But it was primarily affecting me, and I could make that choice. But when I look at other people, I mean, my health really declined, and I had to take care of myself because it was, like, bad. There are people who, you know, collapsed or had to go and check themselves in somewhere when one of these games were done, or they got divorced. It's not okay, any of that. None of this is worth that. We have to get our act figured out as an industry, and the problem is that the ante keeps getting upped. It's an arms race that is unwinnable and is destroying people. I've seen so many people that have been in the AAA space for a long time, packing it in and going to do VR, going indie, going casual. People are just sick of that. So one of my challenges, one of the things I'm thinking about now is how we can still make games like this in a way that is sane and responsible and ethical, because we're not doing it right now. We shouldn't be lauding games that are soaked in the blood of people that made them. Now, of course, the concept of the crunch is not something unique to video games. That, of course, happens in other high-pressure industries where you've got a deadline, you know, obviously happens with films and other such things as well, and just like a normal, like, I don't know, office that does boring data or something, you know, they've got a crunch, we've got to get this thing done for this big event that's happening or whatever. But, you know, that's not to say that it still isn't really unhealthy and is something that we need to work on. You know, people working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, not seeing their families, you know, that sort of thing is not good. And we can still make the games we want to make without asking people to do that. So, you know, I don't know what the solution is. I'm not going to wave my magic, you know, YouTube wand and fix the world's problems. I'm just saying that the crunch is definitely something that needs to be fixed. And the crazy amount of hours that people work definitely needs to be sorted out, because it's not a healthy lifestyle and it's not sustainable, because, you know, a lot of people have left the AAA gaming industry to go into indie or to go into another industry entirely because, you know, they actually want to, you know, have a life outside of work, which I don't think is unreasonable. And, you know, to say it's present in other industries doesn't erase the problem. It just shows that, you know, this is a general problem that needs to be addressed in some way. And for the long-term health of the industry, not just its people, but of the industry, this is definitely something that needs to change. You know, there's no reason why working those kind of hours should be necessary, really. I mean, yeah, okay, it means that we can get our games out faster, but, you know, if all the talent is leaving because they're sick of being worked to the bone, then you kind of see the problem here. Again, there's no easy solution to this, but I definitely think it's worth discussing, which is why I wanted to touch on Amy Hennig's comments here. But as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts on what she had to say, as well as, of course, my opinions. You've heard me talk for almost 5 minutes, so let me know your opinions in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.